90 Day Fiancé is one of the most popular reality shows in the world. It's where couples from different countries chase love under the pressure of a ticking visa clock. Fans watch the drama, the big fights, and sometimes even sweet moments that feel like a movie. But not every love story ends with smiles and wedding bells. For many cast members, the spotlight only made their problems worse. Behind the cameras came cheating, lies, arrests, health struggles, and even heartbreaking deaths. What looked like entertainment on TV turned into some of the saddest stories fans have ever seen. Join us as we take a look at the journeys of some unforgettable 90 Day Fiancé stars and see how their lives ended up in ways no one expected. Danielle Mullins and Muhammad Jabali. When Danielle Mullins and Muhammad Jabali joined 90 Day Fiancé in Season 2, fans could sense this couple would bring drama, but no one imagined just how chaotic things would get. Danielle was a single mother of 4 from Ohio, juggling responsibilities and hoping for a fresh start in love. Muhammad was a much younger man from Tunisia who had met her in a chat room. She was 41, he was 26, and though the 15-year age gap raised eyebrows, Danielle thought she had finally found her match. Muhammad moved to the United States with dreams of a new life, and from that moment, their story became one of the most unforgettable in franchise history. The truth is, this relationship was built on shaky ground right from the start. Danielle wasn't upfront with Muhammad about her serious financial problems. She kept her debt hidden and was even linked to credit card fraud. These weren't small issues, and when Muhammad eventually found out, he felt misled. But Muhammad wasn't innocent either. He told Danielle he had work lined up in America, but he was actually unemployed. Both entered the marriage hiding big parts of their lives, and those secrets started to crack their relationship wide open. Danielle's family could see the red flags. They didn't support the relationship, but Danielle was convinced Muhammad loved her. Out of fear that his visa might expire, they rushed into marriage. But once the wedding was over, reality hit. Their home life was cold and empty. Unlike other couples on the show, there was little to no intimacy. Muhammad often refused Danielle's attempts at affection, claiming his religion prevented him from showing love in public. Danielle, meanwhile, clung to the hope that things would change, but they only got worse. The most shocking moment came during a tell-all episode. Muhammad, frustrated with questions about intimacy, revealed he found Danielle's hygiene unbearable. He said bluntly, "This is something that no man in the world can accept." That moment humiliated Danielle in front of the world and cemented their relationship as one of the most disastrous in 90 Day Fiancé history. Fans realized what Danielle didn't want to face. Muhammad seemed more interested in a green card than in her. And while Danielle wanted love, she overlooked red flags to avoid being alone. As their story unraveled, viewers saw both sides at their worst. Danielle came across as insecure and controlling, often desperate to hold on to Muhammad. Muhammad, on the other hand, constantly avoided closeness and looked for excuses to distance himself. The marriage collapsed in flames, and millions of people watched it happen. Today, though, both have moved on. Muhammad remarried another American woman, Jillian Lee Jabali, and in 2024 revealed they had welcomed their first child together. He now lives quietly in North Carolina, far away from the spotlight. Danielle has taken a different path, focusing on rebuilding her life. She went back to school, became a registered nurse, and often shares her achievements online. She also started a weight loss journey using Wegovy and enjoys time with her dog, Coco. After years of public embarrassment, Danielle now looks stronger, while Muhammad has chosen a life of privacy. Colt Johnson and Larissa dos Santos Lima. Colt Johnson and Larissa dos Santos Lima quickly became one of the most talked about couples in 90 Day Fiancé history. Their relationship was filled with shouting matches, police calls, and endless drama. From the very beginning, it was clear this pairing would not be a fairy tale. Larissa came from Brazil to marry Colt, a quiet computer programmer living in Las Vegas with his mother. Fans noticed right away that Colt and his mom were very close, which caused tension. Larissa felt she was competing for Colt's attention, and their home life was far from peaceful. Arguments often turned explosive. Police were called to their house several times, and Larissa was arrested more than once during their short marriage. The fights became the center of their story. Colt seemed passive, but Larissa was outspoken and fiery. She often accused him of not supporting her, while he acted distant and sometimes sneaky. Their marriage fell apart just months after it began. They divorced, but the drama didn't end there. After the split, Larissa stayed in the spotlight. She decided to transform her looks through extreme plastic surgery. She openly shared her procedures with fans, from breast implants to a nose job and more. Larissa admitted she spent tens of thousands of dollars chasing her idea of perfection. While some viewers admired her confidence, others saw it as a sign of deep insecurity and sadness. Larissa herself once said that beauty was her way of building a new life, but it came with a heavy emotional and physical cost. Colt, meanwhile, didn't stay single for long. He later dated and married Vanessa Guerra, another woman who appeared on the show. But even that relationship had problems, with breakups and reconciliations that kept fans talking. The truth is, Colt and Larissa's journey was less about love and more about chaos. Their fights, arrests, and heartbreak made headlines, but in the end, both seemed left with scars. Larissa faced the pain of rebuilding her self-image, while Colt faced criticism for how he handled his relationships. Their story showed that not every couple on 90 Day Fiancé is ready for marriage. Sometimes it's just about the drama, and sadly, that's what defined them. Paul Staley and Karine Martins. Paul Staley and Karine Martins appeared on 90 Day Fiancé in Season 1. Before the 90 days, viewers were drawn in by how different their lives were. Paul was from Kentucky, quiet but also nervous about almost everything. Karine lived in Brazil, where Paul traveled to meet her. Their romance looked sweet at first, but it quickly showed cracks. The couple's story became one of the most chaotic in franchise history. From the beginning, they struggled with trust. Paul often doubted Karine's loyalty, while Karine grew frustrated with Paul's constant fears and demands. Fights soon turned into full-blown arguments that fans could see on screen. Their communication was messy, and instead of working things out, they often ended up hurting each other. As their relationship went on, problems grew darker. Police were called during their disputes, and accusations flew from both sides. Their marriage seemed less like a partnership and more like a battlefield. At times, Paul claimed Karine mistreated him. Other times, Karine said she felt unsafe with Paul. Fans found themselves watching a relationship that was not just dramatic, but disturbing. Things became even more complicated when their children were born. Custody battles started, with both Paul and Karine fighting to prove they were the better parent. It wasn't only about love anymore, it was about who could raise the kids in a safe environment. The constant back and forth made their personal lives look even more unstable. One of the scariest moments in their story came when Paul suddenly disappeared. Reports surfaced that he had gone missing, and for a while, no one knew where he was or what had happened. Fans were left shocked, as his name had always been tied to drama, but never to something so mysterious. Karine, meanwhile, faced her own struggles. She had to deal with public judgment, the pressures of motherhood, and the storm of her relationship with Paul. Together, their lives became a never-ending cycle of fights, accusations, and heartbreak. Their time on the show started as a love story across continents, but it ended with chaos that few reality TV couples could match. Jorge and Anfisa Arkhipchenko. Jorge Nava and Anfisa Arkhipchenko were introduced in 90 Day Fiancé Season 4. And from the start, their relationship raised eyebrows. Jorge, a California man who worked in the cannabis industry, fell for Anfisa, a fiery woman from Russia. Their love story was filled with ups and downs, but what stood out most was how explosive their arguments became. Anfisa was outspoken and direct. She never hid the fact that she expected a certain lifestyle, and she often clashed with Jorge when he failed to deliver. Viewers still remember moments where she locked his phone or even shouted at him during heated fights. Jorge, on the other hand, often looked defeated, trying to balance his love for Anfisa with the reality of their constant battles. Their relationship was rocky on screen, but off-screen it reached an even bigger turning point. Jorge was arrested and sentenced to prison on drug charges. This moment changed everything. Suddenly, the couple that had entertained fans with their wild fights was facing a much darker reality. Jorge spent years behind bars, and during that time, his life took a dramatic turn. Prison transformed him. He lost a significant amount of weight, and when he was released, fans barely recognized him. The physical change shocked many, but it was also a sign of how much Jorge's life had shifted. While Jorge focused on rebuilding himself, Anfisa moved on. She left their relationship behind and built her own path. Jorge later described prison as a place that forced him to reflect and start over. While he came out looking like a new man, the relationship that had made him famous was long gone. Anfisa showed she had no interest in going back, and Jorge didn't seem to want to either. Fans remembered them as one of the most dramatic couples of all time, but their ending was far from glamorous. Jorge's sentence and transformation showed how quickly fame could turn into downfall. And for Anfisa, it was proof that sometimes walking away was the only choice. Their journey went from love and fame to separation and completely different lives. Deavan and Jihoon Lee. When Deavan from Utah met Jihoon Lee from South Korea, fans thought their cross-cultural romance could be a sweet story. They were first seen on 90 Day Fiancé, The Other Way, and their journey showed the struggles of moving to another country for love. Deavan was already a mom, and Jihoon seemed excited to step into the role of a family man. But it didn't take long for reality to hit. The couple had constant clashes over money and responsibility. Jihoon often promised to provide, but Deavan soon realized his income was unstable. She felt let down by his broken promises, while Jihoon claimed he was doing his best. Their different expectations created a wall between them. Fans saw the tension grow every episode, and it became clear that their marriage was built on fragile ground. Life became even more complicated when tragedy struck Deavan's family. Her young son, Taeyong, was diagnosed with cancer. This heartbreaking moment shifted everything. Deavan shared the painful updates with fans, and many sympathized with her struggles. Jihoon, however, was far away and not actively present in his child's life. The distance and lack of support deepened the divide between them. The biggest turning point came with their custody battle. Deavan wanted full custody of her children, and Jihoon fought to stay involved. But in the end, the courts favored Deavan. She walked away with custody, while Jihoon faded into the background. What started as a hopeful love story across continents turned into a story of separation, disappointment, and family struggles. Deavan tried to keep moving forward by focusing on her children's health and well-being. She often shared updates online, showing both her pain and her determination. Jihoon, meanwhile, remained quiet, and his role in their children's lives seemed to vanish. Fans who had once rooted for their relationship were left saddened by how it all ended, with broken promises, legal fights, and a family torn apart by circumstances no one expected. Lisa Hame and Usman Umar. Lisa Hama and Usman Soja Boy. Umar's story on 90 Day Fiancé. Before the 90 Days was one of the most explosive in the show's history. Lisa, from Pennsylvania, met Usman online and traveled to Nigeria to be with him. Their romance was intense but messy right from the start. Lisa was controlling and quick to anger, while Usman, an aspiring rapper, wanted both love and fame. Viewers could see how mismatched they were. Lisa often accused Usman of not being loyal while he tried to defend himself and his career. Their arguments were loud, emotional, and unforgettable. At one point, Usman even admitted he was more interested in building his music career than in pleasing Lisa. He wanted her support, but not her control. The relationship quickly spiraled. Lisa's behavior drew heavy criticism from fans. She was called out for being jealous and for saying offensive things to Usman. During one episode, she used language that shocked viewers and created a storm online. The backlash was swift. Audiences began to see Lisa not as a woman in love, but as someone who disrespected her partner and embarrassed herself in front of the world. Despite all the problems, they went through with their marriage in Nigeria, but it didn't last. Their constant fighting, Lisa's temper, and Usman's focus on fame pushed them apart. Usman eventually cut ties, and Lisa faced the fallout. She became one of the most criticized cast members in franchise history. The disgrace followed her off-screen. Fans remembered her as one of the most controversial stars to ever appear on 90 Day Fiancé. Usman, meanwhile, moved forward with his life and career, leaving Lisa behind in the past. Big Ed Brown. Big Ed Brown first showed up on 90 Day Fiancé before the 90 Days Season 4, when he traveled to the Philippines to meet Rose Vega. Right away, it was tense. Rose called him out for mocking her poverty and making jokes about her body. Viewers saw him telling Rose to shave her legs, even comparing their life conditions in hurtful ways. Because of that, many people tagged him villain. He didn't stop. Beyond just Rose, Ed has been part of 90 Day, The Single Life, The Last Resort Season 1, and Happily Ever After. For 2 seasons, one of the big controversies was with Liz Woods. She called him a narcissist. In a breakup, she leaked a phone call where he was belittling her. She said she had to take antidepressants after dealing with him. Liz also denied some of Ed's claims. For example, Ed said he showered her with money, but Liz said those stories were lies. She said she paid many bills, even parts of the wedding, and that he made her quit her jobs twice. Viewers also noticed Ed lying or hiding things. There was a scene at a tell-all where Rose exposed him. She showed texts between them. The texts were from when he was with Liz. Ed had claimed he wasn't talking to Rose, but the messages proved otherwise. Liz confronted him. "I'm tired of all the lies," she said. Their relationship itself was messy. Ed and Liz broke up many times, over a dozen. Engaged in November 2021, but their engagement was called off at least once by him without telling her properly. One time, she only found out the wedding was canceled when the officiant reached out. There are also mentions of unverified sexual assault or misconduct allegations against Ed, though these have not been covered fully on the show. Recently, many think Ed's time might be over with 90 Day shows. After all the scandals, the broken trust, and all the criticism, fans hope he doesn't return with another girlfriend. Larissa dos Santos Lima. Larissa dos Santos Lima entered 90 Day Fiancé in Season 6 with Colt Johnson. They met online, then Larissa moved to the US and into Colt's house in Las Vegas. The fight about differences started almost right away. She barely revealed things like having kids back in Brazil, not even telling Colt's mother, Debbie, at first. Not long after, Larissa got into legal trouble. On June 19, 2018, she was arrested just 5 days before their wedding. Then, a month later, she was arrested again. She claimed Colt was going crazy, but Colt had visible injuries. He said Larissa was the one who hurt him. She was charged with battery, domestic violence, and misdemeanors. Then a third arrest came in January 2019. One fight left Colt with face injuries. There were pictures and videos. Larissa said she was being hurt. The authorities had to pick sides. At trial, she was ordered to do a community service program and pay a fine of $345. She avoided jail time, but the legal battles caused a lot of damage. Their marriage couldn't handle the pressure. They divorced within a short time after all this. Larissa stayed in the spotlight even after the divorce. She appeared in more seasons, talked openly about what happened. Fans saw both sides, her emotional outbursts, her demands, and also her vulnerability. They saw the arguments, the arrests, the way her life seemed like constant storms. Now, Larissa has shared updates on her green card status. She's still in the US, despite worries from fans that she might be deported. She claimed life got shaken up, but she's still there. Her relationship status has shifted. She hinted at a new partner, but things didn't last. Ashley Martson and Jay Smith. Ashley Martson and Jay Smith first appeared together on 90 Day Fiancé Season 6. Ashley was 31, Jay was 20. Their age difference and cultural gap were obvious from the start. They fell in love fast. But right after they married, cracks began to show. Almost immediately after their wedding in May 2018, there were accusations that Jay was cheating. Ashley caught him using a dating app just a few days after they became husband and wife. She filed for divorce for the first time in January 2019, only 8 months in. Then later, she withdrew it, but the cheating stories kept coming. Ashley later said, "The cheating scandals were never ever fake." While all this drama unfolded, Ashley suffered serious health struggles. She has lupus, a disease where the immune system attacks the body by mistake. Because of lupus, she was hospitalized several times. Once she went into acute kidney failure. One time she was found unconscious at home. Even during her hospital stays, the cheating troubles and relationship fights kept following her. Some critics even said Ashley used her health situations to get sympathy or attention. But Ashley responded by sharing her medical records, saying she wasn't making stuff up. She said, "I will not let this beat me." Even during a hospital bed stay, Ashley and Jay tried to patch things up multiple times. They broke up, got back together, divorced papers filed, then dropped. Ashley said Jay was bored as hell after their wedding, which led him to join dating apps again. Their problems went beyond cheating. Trust was broken, feelings were hurt, and fights became public. After all these hardships, Ashley walked away from the relationship. She shifted focus to her kids, her business, and her health. She owns a hair salon, Martson Hair Studio, in Pennsylvania. She leans on her followers and uses social media to share updates, be honest with her struggles, and show she is surviving. Mark Shoemaker. Mark Shoemaker appeared on 90 Day Fiancé Season 3 with Nikki Mediano, also called Nikki Shoemaker. Mark was 57, later 58, and Nikki was just 19. That huge age gap, 38 or 39 years, immediately made many fans uncomfortable. Their relationship included some odd details. Mark had 4 children already. One of them, his daughter Elise, is older than Nikki. That made the situation feel even more weird to viewers. Fans saw Nikki trying to adjust to being a wife with many rules. There was a scene where Mark got upset just because Nikki touched his car window. He said it was one of the rules for my children. Moments like that made viewers question how much control was in the relationship. Mark and Nikki married in 2015 in the Philippines. They met online first. Just 2 days after meeting, Mark proposed with a zip tie instead of a ring. The engagement felt rushed. Many viewers felt the speed added to the concern. Over time, Mark felt the show edited their story unfairly. He sued TLC and the production company, Sharp Entertainment, claiming they made him look bad. He said viewers saw a version of him that wasn't real, but the lawsuit was dropped in 2017. The judge noted their contract allowed the show to edit and show them however they wanted. After 6 years of marriage, Mark filed for divorce from Nikki in March 2022. But things got messy. In court, he tried to seal the divorce details, but that request was denied. Then, a year later, the divorce was dismissed. The pair said they were still married, though reports suggest they were living very separate lives. Nikki reportedly felt hurt by how things were. Public opinion was tough on them. Many fans called their relationship creepy because of the age difference. Others worried Nikki was being manipulated. Even Mark's own daughter, Elise, spoke out. She said in a TikTok video that she felt brainwashed and that she had to pretend everything was okay with her dad's choice. Jeffrey Paschal? Jeffrey Ian Paschal was part of 90 Day Fiancé. Before the 90 Days, Season 4. Fans met him when he traveled to Russia to meet Varia Molina. He got engaged to her by the end of the season. Things turned dark off-camera. On June 9, 2019, police were called to Jeffrey's home in Rocky Hill, Tennessee. His then-girlfriend, Kristen Wilson Chapman, reported a violent attack. She said Jeffrey grabbed her by the neck, slammed her head against a wall multiple times, and dragged her. He also allegedly took her phone and prevented her from leaving the house. She escaped when Jeffrey fell asleep. Officers saw injuries. She had bruises, abrasions on her arms, back, inside her lip. She also had a concussion. Jeffrey denied doing it. He claimed the bruises were self-inflicted, but the jury didn't believe him. In October 2021, after a 2-day trial, Jeffrey was found guilty of aggravated kidnapping, domestic assault, and interfering with an emergency call. He was sentenced in February 2022. The judge ordered him to serve 18 years in prison with no possibility of parole. That means he must stay the full term. Part of his sentence came from his past history. He had prior convictions for drug crimes. Also, there were past allegations of domestic violence from other women. All these facts made his sentence heavier in court. While the show aired, many fans asked TLC to remove him after these charges came up. He defended himself on social media, saying, "It is my past. It is my life. It is my choice." Now Jeffrey is behind bars. His reputation among viewers is largely negative. Many believe his story shows how dangerous behavior off-screen can be. Even people who followed his show felt shocked when the details came out. Robert Springs and Annie Francisco. Robert Springs and Annie Francisco met on 90 Day Fiancé in Season 7. Their start was fast and messy, but the love was real. They married, welcomed their daughter Brenda in 2020, and then their son, Adriel, in September 2021. 7 months later, their world broke. Baby Adriel passed away. Annie told fans on Instagram, "Today is one of the worst days of my life," and called her son a fighter. She wrote that his little heart couldn't take it and that her own heart was shattered. The pain was heavy, loud, and public. Doctors told them Adriel had Danon disease, a rare genetic disorder that damages the heart and muscles. It moves fast. It doesn't care about cameras, fame, or plans. In the months that followed, Robert and Annie tried to grieve in private, but grief sits in everyday places. Annie kept some of Adriel's things in a room at home: the swing, the toys, the pillow where she held him. Each item felt like a hug and a wound at the same time. When she spoke on TV, she kept it simple. "I still drink my coffee. I have to keep going," Robert showed a side fans rarely saw. In an interview, he fought back tears while talking about Adriel and the fear of having another son after such a loss. "We really didn't want to play out what recently happened to our last son. It's kind of emotional to deal with." Then he said something that cut through the noise. "But for your wife to lose a child, you didn't break the heart." It was a clear promise to stand by Annie, to carry some of her pain, to be steady when memories hit hard. Their past on the show had drama, money fights, old red flags, and a thrift store scene fans still talk about. People mocked Robert when baby number 7 was mentioned. People judged his work and his parenting. But loss changes how you see a person. After Adriel's death, many viewers offered prayers and kind words. They saw parents trying to stay standing. Slowly, life moved again. Robert put energy into Big Daddy Autos, his pre-owned car business in Florida. He posted small family moments with Brenda, feeding chickens, smiling at simple things. Annie shared updates when she could. In time, the couple told fans they were expecting again. Joy mixed with fear, but they chose hope. They are not over it. You do not get over a child. You learn to carry love and pain at once. That is what Robert and Annie are doing. One day, one memory, one small step at a time. Which 90 Day Fiancé star's journey shocked you the most, and why? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more incredible stories from Hollywood's fascinating history. See you next time!